is a fine performer and has lots of class. It never really got the attention it deserved in the market, and that's a pity. The Mi16 has been an underrated contender in a busy import sector, which includes the BMW 318, Audi 80 and 90, Acura Integra, Infiniti G20, Subaru Legacy Turbo, and Volvo 740. A worthy domestic rival is the Oldsmobile Calais Quad 4. Well, I give this a driving dollar value of 3/4 of a tank, Ted, because of the real clouds on the horizon on the manufacturer.
Yeah, any gripes I have against this car are pretty small in nature. My biggest problem with Peugeot is their attitude in North America. They've always come over here with a set attitude. They say, this is the product, live with it or die. And the other manufacturers will cater to the North American market much more readily than Peugeot. They got a very bad attitude over here, always have had. I can't understand this because North America is the biggest car market in the world, one of them. Why would they not, you know, go the extra mile?
Well, that's true, and it's been true of other French manufacturers, and the whole thing, they have to take this market seriously. They obviously haven't. And North Americans are used to having car makers who are regular entrants in the marketplace. They don't like car makers that come and go and switch distribution. Chrysler handled this product for a while and failed.
The biggest problem with Peugeot and the other French car makers is service. Anybody that buys one of these cars can tell you of a nightmare of problems. If you bought a Peugeot, would you want to take it to Chrysler, for example, for repair work? I wouldn't.
Well, they never did get used to handling these European cars. This car is very nicely built. It has wonderful performance. It's a big success in Europe and many other countries. And the French manufacturers just won't take this, as you say, very lucrative market seriously.
They seem to have just said, okay, let the Japanese have it, because that's who's going to take this market segment over, is the Japanese and maybe the Germans. But, I mean, I'm really disappointed in Peugeot. They should have gone after this in a big way, instead of coming in here and throwing a couple of cars at us, you know.
Spend some money on marketing, spend money on the best people to sell the car and so forth, a good dealership chain and so on. And I'm worried about the fact that, I mean, they do say that they're going to stay around to look after people with Peugeots, but if you were a dealer and you'd lost this franchise, would you hang around just running, you know, for your 12 customers and so forth?
I mean, Peugeot is more than eager to complain about the Japanese in France, but yet they don't do anything about it. If your product is as good as the Japanese, and this one is, get out there and do something about it. They also should have brought in the 205, I feel, as well as the 405 to give.
Well, that's true. There was originally a plan to bring that in, and maybe the 605. They have a big, a larger version of this in Europe. It's a very, very attractive car. Looks wonderful, very big seller and so forth, nicely styled. Never driven one, but I'm sure it's a fine machine.
Yeah, I also take your point about the signal lever. I've had a hard time with that as well. Every time I turned, it seemed like I'd activate it.
It's a real pest. Okay, let's sum up here. Things we didn't like about the car, mainly most of the car was great, but the steering column housing was obtrusive. On the plus side, lots of things, including a wonderful engine, very nice styling, and a well-planned interior. There's an amber light here, a warning, there's a very limited dealer network. Driving dollar value, I'd give this more, but 3/4 of a tank is as much as I can grant it because of that very, very limited dealer network.
And I'd get one of these cars while you can, because they're not going to be around for long. Anyway, we'll be right back.